Right, welcome everyone. I make it 7:30 UAE time, so time to get on with our webinar tonight. I'm Professor Tim Campbell. I'm going to be talking to you about the Executive MBA from the University of Northampton. What I want to do for this webinar is, what I'll do first for just about 15 minutes is just a short presentation about the Northampton EMBA program. And I'll just take you through a few highlights of the program and a few things from my perspective. And then once I've done that, I'll take any questions. So let's get going. Whoops. There we are. Now let's get going. So before I get on to talking about this EMBA program, I just want to say a word about Stafford first, just so you know where the relationship between Stafford is and the university itself. Well, I'm sure you've all had a look at Stafford's website, and you'll see it's the very first provider of distance learning education in the Middle East. Long time ago now, nearly 30 years. And it's currently the resource centre for 6 universities and has all sorts of programs from certificates up to doctorates. Now, what Stafford does for the partner universities is offer marketing, recruitment, administration, and local student support services for the partner universities. So for Northampton, Stafford will market the program. You'll be here tonight because you've been talking to the very good academic consultants at Stafford. And with the marketing and recruitment, and also local administration that we have as well. But it's very important to understand that once you actually enroll on the program and you're at that first workshop, you're entirely a student of the university. You're taught by the University of Northampton professors. The degree you get, the transcript, the rules and regulations, everything comes from the university itself. So the academics and everything is all provided by the university. So just a quick note on what Stafford does, and then what happens when you enroll onto the program. Let's have a look at Northampton then. Just for most of you who probably haven't been to Northampton, I wouldn't have thought. Some of you may have been. But on my map of the UK there, you'll see a big arrow which points to Northampton, which is a very old historic town in the UK. Appears in English history and all sorts, and for a long time, thousands of years. And it's about 100 miles, about an hour by train north of London. And in Northampton, you will find the University of Northampton. Now, it used to be just on the outskirts of the city, just in the countryside. But in 2018, they built a brand new campus, which is pretty much everything within those red dots, which is right in the middle of the town now. So a huge investment, but a very, very good one. And the university itself, have a look at the university's website, of course, and you'll see the history and also everything you need to know about it. But just a word to note here that education in Northampton dates back to the 13th century, and the modern University of Northampton's origins begin in about the 1920s, about 100 years ago when it was a technical college, and then to where it is today with about 14,000 students and about 1,500 staff. But as I say, all of that information, have a look at the website, you'll find out all about it, because what we're here to chat about tonight is, of course, the EMBA program that we run in the region. We run with the workshops in the UAE that I'll talk about in a moment. So this program is we get students from all around the Middle East to enroll on the program, and Africa as well, mostly. And here's the structure of the program. So let's begin with this and how you're actually taught. So the Executive MBA program, when you come to the first workshop, you start with that first module that's called Critical Issues in Business. And this module is really an introductory module, if you like. It's an introduction to the program. It's an introduction to all sorts of things about academic writing and referencing and assignments and all of these types of things to really get you going and on the program and prepared for your next modules. And then you'll make your way around. You'll look at managing organizational behavior. That's the module I teach. So you'll see me there face to face teaching that. And you'll do financial decision making, operations and supply chain, leadership, strategy and innovation and marketing. And then once you've done all that, you'll end up by doing your business research project. which many of you can think about as a dissertation, a master's level dissertation, if you like. So that's the program. It's got 8 modules, and you take them one by one until you get to that dissertation, which is your big dissertation, and then you're done. So you get around that EMBA program. It takes about 18 months from start to finish. As you'll see, if I quickly go back again, you've got there's 8 modules. So each module has a workshop attached, which is taught by University of Northampton professor. And these workshops, we hold them, I'm very pleased to say that we hold them face-to-face now. For the last 2.5 years, we've of course had to hold them virtually because of COVID. So I'm extremely pleased to say that we're back face-to-face, taught here in the United Arab Emirates. So you'll come here for 2 days, you get taught on a Friday afternoon, evening, and then all day on the Saturday. That's your face-to-face component. Then after that, you'll work on your assignments, and then it takes about 8 to 10 weeks between modules, and you'll have a virtual learning environment that'll support you through this, as well as your tutor, of course, and all the other support I'll talk about a bit later. But you do your workshop, you're face-to-face. About 8 to 10 weeks later, you hand in your assignments, and you're on to your next workshop. So one by one, you make your way through the program. Now, the next start date is in about a month's time. I should have put the date on there. It's actually on early December. The date is, I can remember, it's the 9th and the 10th of December is our next intake 31. And we have 3 intakes a year. So you can see we've been running this program now for over 10 years, this Middle East and Africa program for over 10 years. And our next intake, as I say, early December, and it's actually on the 9th and the 10th. So it's not too far away now at all. So that's the program. I get the question of what do we actually do in these workshops when you're there with your professors? And what of course, it depends on the professor and it depends on the subject that you're taking, but generally speaking, these are the sorts of things that we aim to do. It's to introduce you to the key concepts of whatever topic it is you're studying. So for my module, Managing an Organizational Behavior, I'll introduce you to some of the key authors and theories and models that we come across in organizational behavior. And it's not just lecture for those 2 days. We use a bit of lecturing, but there's case studies, exercises, business games, all sorts of other things. It's a workshop, you know, so they're interactive, and we're always doing different things. And then we'll also demonstrate where to find the resources, so where you find your books, or your e-books, I should say, articles, everything. All of these, by the way, you'll find on the university's library that you access electronically. There's no need to find any books on your own. Everything is there for you. So in the modules, we'll show you where to find that. And very importantly, in these workshops, we tell you what we want you to do to successfully complete the assignments. So these workshops really are an important part of the program. You not only meet your tutor and get to discuss all of these interesting topics, but you also get to meet all your colleagues and fellow students as well. We have really, really good student satisfaction with these workshops. So that's the workshop. How are you assessed? So all modules are assessed through some form of an assignment. So it might be an essay, it might be a report, it could be a case study. For financial decision making, half of the assignment is actually a multiple choice quiz that you do online. So it'll be some form of an assignment depending on what on the module. But there are no exams. So there's no exams where you sit down and just have to write for 2 hours. And the reason for that is, with the assessments, we want to really give you time to demonstrate your learning by showing that you can research and put your ideas down on paper and construct arguments, rather than just how much you can remember, which is what exams are more about. Really, exams, they're just testing how much you can remember from the syllabus. What we're interested in is, can you apply your knowledge? Can you find further resources? Can we look for that deeper understanding that you get through assignments. Then when you get to that final module, that business research project I talked about, that's you'll have a supervisor that helps you out with that. And that's your big assignment for the course, and that'll be about 12,000 words. Entry requirements. So standard entry requirements, this is common for pretty much all MBA programs, is a bachelor's degree and 2 years relevant work experience. But if you don't have a bachelor's degree, but you have more work experience, you're called what we term non-standard. And there we look for at least 5 years of relevant work experience. And when I say relevant, I mean that this means that the applicant can demonstrate managerial responsibilities. So planning, organizing, leading, controlling, those types of things. You don't necessarily have to have the word manager in your job title. It's that you can show managerial responsibilities. So you can plan, organize, lead, control, that type of thing. So that's entry requirements. There's lots of support for the program. There's the program leader that from the University of Northampton that looks after the program here based on campus, and you'll meet that person in the business research module. And we've also got a local program leader, which is the role I take. I look after things locally. I'm based here in Dubai. And then every tutor has its own module. And then we have administration in Northampton, and then local administration that can help you find things if you need it. And every course that you do, every module has its own virtual learning environment, which we call the Northampton Integrated Learning Environment, or NILE. And then, so for example, on managing organizational behavior, I have one of these NILE sites, and on that, I'll post anything I think you need, lecture slides, readings, journal articles, videos, whatever. And that's also where I post the assignments, and also where you submit the assignments. So this is your virtual learning environment that you have for every module that has everything you'll need. As I mentioned before, there's also a very extensive online library. So lots and lots of support. Just a couple of other things from me before I take some questions. What's the price? So it's a very competitive price, but have a look at Stafford's website for the latest fee information, because it can change between intakes. So make sure you get the latest fees, and you will see that it is a very reasonable price for a fly-in faculty MBA program. Remember, it's not online. You're taught by professors. It's part-time. You're actually taught in a classroom by fly-in faculty. And I think that also the duration, support, teaching, and assessment are important for this, particularly good for the Northampton MBA. For example, the duration's 18 months, and I've taught on a lot of MBA programs over the years, and some of them have been full-time programs that have been a year. Others have been over 3 years long to complete. And with an 18-month program, I find it's just about the right amount of time where people can fit it in with their work and family responsibilities, but they also don't lose motivation. It's long enough that you can get it done and you can see a light at the end of the tunnel and complete successfully. If programs are too long, I tend to find students lose motivation, whatever. If they're too short, it becomes too difficult to manage all your other responsibilities that you have. So I think duration's just about right. There's lots of support. I mentioned about the teaching and the workshops being very good, and the assessments as well are also very useful and applied. And my last bit down here, I've just put that why the Northampton MBA? Because it strongly emphasizes vocational or job learning as well as the theories, so the practical stuff as well. So this is attractive to employers who are more interested in practical knowledge, and also makes studying for the EMBA more enjoyable and relevant to the students. So what I'm saying there, and all of the modules that you'll do, will particularly talk about how this actually impacts your own managerial practice or your own work practice. You know, how you can actually become better in the jobs that you do, and not just talk about the theory of management. So as I say, it makes it a good, practical and interesting program. Okie doke. I think I'm done just about spot on time. I have 15 minutes. So let me take questions. The easiest way to do this with the group of you is if you use your question on the right there, on your little panel. And then I'll take each question in turn, and I will answer them for you. And I have some questions here already. Right, first question is, what is the difference between the executive MBA and a general MBA? Okay, this is a good question. So you'll notice that our program is an executive MBA. Now the difference is that executive MBAs are designed for working professionals, people who are working at the time. So it means we can talk more about the practical aspects of management. When we're doing assessments, we can ask you about your own work practice, things like this. So executive MBAs are particularly geared for people who are working and tend to be in more senior management positions, but that's not always the case. There can be sort of junior level managers there as well, mid-level most of the time. But it's geared towards working people, whereas a general MBA can be done these days without any working experience at all. So that's why an executive MBA is what we do, because all of our students are working. My next question. Do you accept exemptions based on extensive managerial work experience, or is it purely based on academics? It's got to turn my light on. My light keeps on going on and off. I've got to buy a new one. Never mind. So exemptions. We don't accept exemptions based on work experience, but we would accept exemptions if perhaps you started an MBA program somewhere else, and for example, you did finance module. We could look at that module, and if it maps to our finance module, you could get an exemption that way. But we wouldn't give exemptions purely for managerial work experience, because there are things you'll learn in all these modules that no matter how many years experience you've had, you will learn something new. Next question. Will online distance learning be on the degree, certificate and transcript? Absolutely not. Remember what I said, it's not an online program, it is a taught program. It's a taught part-time program, so no mention of online distance learning. Will the workshops cover the assignment topics? Yes, absolutely. That's an important part of the workshops. We talk a lot about the assignments and how we want to address them. Because your assignments, of course, will be different depending on whether you're doing my module or the finance module or the strategy module or whatever. So your tutor in each of those will tell you exactly how they want you to do their own, their particular assessment. The next question, does the MBA have any external accreditations, and is this necessary? The MBA is from the University of Northampton, a public university in the UK, so it is fully accredited public university in the UK by the Quality Assurance Agency. In the UK, you cannot call yourself a university or give degree awarding powers without being fully accredited, so it is completely accredited. The maximum time to complete the MBA, so as I said, you can complete in 18 months, but if something happens, you get ill or something else happens in your personal life or whatever, and you need to take a break, you can take a study break of up to a year, and then as long as you complete the whole thing within 4 years, I believe, you'll be okay. So we want you to stay on course and complete in the 18 months, but if something happens, there is the opportunity to take a study break if you need it. Sultan saying, oh, you missed some of the talk. How long will the MBA take? Is it 1 or 2 years? It will take 18 months, Sultan, from start to finish. So right in the middle of your 1 and 2 years, 18 months from start to finish. And please have a chat with your academic consultant at Stafford, because they'll be able to give you the full timetable for the next intake. So you'll be able to see when all the workshops are and when all the assignments are due, and you'll see exactly how long it'll take. Let me have a look at my next one. What are the parameters and standard rules that we have to look into while submitting the assignments? Well, that's a tough question. All I can say is that for your assignments, you'll be fully briefed by your module tutors. So we get an assignment and you'll be able to look at that assignment, and on that, it'll have, as you're saying here, actually, it'll have all the parameters and the rules. So it'll give you a word count, it'll give you the question, it'll say, we want you to do this, this, and this, and then it has all sorts of other things. So the briefs, most briefs on these assignments are about 2 or 3 pages long. So they have all of these different bits where they tell you what they expect from the assignment, and then it's up to your module tutor who will go through it and explain it all so you can understand it and relate it back to their workshop. So you do get, so there is, it's not just a one-line question, for example, it is a full assignment brief that you get with all the different, what you need to do to complete the assignment. How to get access to Nile and the library. So as soon as you enroll, you'll get your password and you'll be able to access Nile, that virtual learning environment I talked about. And then, as I said, every subject that you have has its own module site that'll just be for your class, where you'll see, as I mentioned, all of the different teaching materials we use and whatever else the module tutor wants to see. That same password will also give you access to the library. And when you do the first module, critical issues, which I also mentioned was also an introductory module, your teacher will show you how to access these things and make sure you do all have access to it. Let's see my next question. Is there a chance to have digital marketing course during the EMBA, or is it included in the modules? Yes, you will find that in, let me quickly backtrack to that one. You will find digital marketing in your strategic marketing module, that one there. And we have a very good tutor for strategic marketing as well, because digital marketing, of course, you know, is a big part of marketing these days. So you'll certainly cover those types of things. Is it to be in person or online, or both? It can be done. It is. So as I mentioned, if you look at this program here, so every one of these modules has a face-to-face 2-day workshop taught here in the United Arab Emirates. So if you're living somewhere else, and we get students from all around the Gulf and some from even further abroad, they'll fly in for those 2 days in that workshop, for the workshop. They'll meet the tutor, meet all their classmates, etc., etc. And then they'll go back after that weekend. And then once they've completed the workshop, they'll be on the Nile site where you'll be working on the assignment, working on the library, working on your assignments, and then you'll submit your assignments, and then you come back for your next workshop. So it goes that way. So it's face-to-face, and then you work on all your assignments online. Okay, well, this is a good question. So here's a question. Is it essential to attend the workshop personally? So these workshops are such an important part of the program. We really do want you to come, but they're not compulsory. We don't force you to come, or you're not going to get taken off the course if you don't come. That's not the way it works. They are voluntary. But as I say, they're such an important part, we do want you to come. But if there are some workshops you can't come to, remember, you'll find the materials, the lecture slides, workshop materials, all that type of thing, you'll find it on that Nile site that I mentioned. So all the materials will be there if you can't make that workshop. Did I get every question? I've got one question here. Will it appear on the bona fide? Wisney, I'm not sure I understand that question. If you want to try that one again. Because other than that, I think I've answered pretty much all of them. Yeah. Or if a question does come to you anyway, after, or you want me to, if there's something I haven't answered and you want me to, just drop me an email tomorrow. There I am. And I shall do my very best to answer it. Okay, thanks everyone. Yes, I think that's all. I can't see any more questions coming up. So I will leave it there. As I say, if there are any more questions, just drop me an email tomorrow and I'll get back to you. But I really hope I will see you all face-to-face at the next intake, starting on the 9th and 10th of December, and see you on the program. Be great to see you there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye for now.